California dog attack horror. Young mother killed while protecting son in California dog attack. In a heartbreaking incident that has left an Arizona-California border community in mourning, 26-year-old Emily Panuco, a young mother from Parker, Arizona, was mauled to death by dogs while heroically shielding her 5-year-old son from a vicious attack. Now let's dive deeper and explore every layer of this story on our AI podcast.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a single story today, centered around an article titled The Ultimate Sacrifice of Emily Panuco.
Right, just the one source for this one.
Yeah, and I have to be upfront, it's an incredibly heavy story about a devastating tragedy that recently took place right on the Arizona-California border.
It really is.
But inside this heartbreak, there is something else. There is, honestly, one of the most stunning, undeniable examples of maternal instinct we could ever examine.
Absolutely.
We're going to walk you through the timeline of what happened, the reality of the community left behind, and the staggering strength of human love. So, okay, let's unpack this. We have to start by laying the groundwork of the setting, taking a look at what was supposed to be a completely normal, joyful family afternoon.
The timeline really is the crucial starting point here, because to grasp the gravity of this event, you really have to understand how perfectly ordinary the environment was.
Right.
We're looking at last Friday, right around 3:30 in the afternoon.
And that specific time of day carries such a universal feeling.
It really does. I mean, the school week is basically over.
Yeah, kids are getting out.
Exactly. The work week is winding down. People are shifting out of that structured, vigilant mindset they hold from Monday to Friday, and they are moving into the weekend.
You're exhaling for the first time all week.
Yes, it's a deeply relaxed state of mind where your guard is naturally down. And the location here is Big River, California, which sits right on the border, just across the water from Arizona.
Right, and at the center of this Friday afternoon is a 26-year-old woman named Emily Panuco.
A very young mother.
Yeah, Emily was a young mother from Parker, Arizona, which is effectively a sister community to Big River. They share that whole border area. She had made the short trip across to Big River for a very familiar kind of family errand.
The kind of trip you don't even think twice about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She brought her 5-year-old son over to visit her mother's home, located on the 6700 block of Wingfoot Court. And the reason they were visiting is something anyone listening can instantly picture.
Oh, yeah.
She had taken him over to see a litter of young puppies.
What's fascinating here is the jarring contrast of that scene. You have the mundane, innocent, absolutely joyful nature of child wanting to pet puppies.
Who doesn't want to do that?
Right. And these puppies were safely kept in a cardboard box near the front door of the home. It is a scene of pure domestic tranquility.
It paints such a specific picture.
It does. A grandmother's house, a cardboard box, tiny animals, and a 5-year-old boy who just wants to see them. It is such a gentle, quiet image. And you have to sit with that image for a moment because juxtaposed against that innocence is the sudden, chaotic reality of what happens next.
It's terrifying to even transition to that.
It is. The human brain actually struggles to reconcile how an environment can shift from complete safety to absolute danger in a matter of seconds.
You can just see that exact moment. You're standing near the entryway, looking down at a cardboard box.
Yeah.
Your child is reaching out, experiencing that unfiltered wonder that only a 5-year-old looking at a puppy can really experience.
Pure curiosity.
Right. But then the catalyst happens. As the 5-year-old approached the box, 3 adult dogs on the property unexpectedly lunged at the child.
And the detail to focus on here is the complete lack of escalation.
It was instantaneous.
Exactly. The attack happened without warning. There was no prolonged barking, no posturing, no defensive growling that would give a parent the vital seconds needed to scoop up their child and back away slowly.
Those warning signs that we always look for just weren't there.
No, they weren't. It was an immediate, explosive transition from a peaceful visit to a vicious attack. Those 3 adult dogs inflicted severe bites on the 5-year-old boy almost instantly. You are dealing with an overwhelming physical force directed entirely at a small, vulnerable kid.
This is the fraction of a second that alters the course of multiple lives forever. And honestly, looking at how the human brain processes a crisis like this, here's where it gets really interesting.
The psychological response?
Yes.
Yeah.
Emily Panuco, watching 3 adult dogs attack her child, did not freeze. She didn't pause to assess the situation or run to find help. She acted purely on instinct.
Pure instinct.
She threw herself directly into the chaos, physically wedging her own body between the 3 attacking animals and her son.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we are looking at the raw, uncompromising power of a biological override.
An override. Tell me more about that.
Well, psychologists and biologists study the fight, flight, or freeze response extensively. In moments of extreme, life-threatening terror, the conscious, logical brain basically shuts down.
You're not weighing pros and cons.
Not at all. The primal brain takes over. Now, self-preservation is supposed to be our deepest, most fundamental biological drive. Every cell in our body is wired to keep us alive. But what we see here is a complete and total override of that self-preservation instinct.
Because there's literally no time to think or calculate.
Exactly. In a fraction of a second, without a single moment of hesitation or conscious calculation of the physical risks, Emily traded her own safety for her child's.
It's staggering.
It defies basic biology. To hurl yourself into the center of an attack by 3 adult dogs requires a level of kinetic action and bravery that is almost impossible to comprehend until it happens. She became a human shield.
It is the ultimate sacrifice, which is exactly how the article frames it. She threw herself into that violent maelstrom to become a barrier, and the outcome of that effort is incredibly painful to process.
It is.
The dogs turned their aggression away from the 5-year-old and entirely onto Emily. She suffered fatal bite wounds.
A horrific scene.
When emergency responders arrived at the scene, there was nothing they could do. Emily Panuco was pronounced dead right there at her mother's home.
It's a devastating reality. But as we process the physical loss of her life, we also have to look at the immediate result of her actions.
Because it wasn't in vain.
Not at all, because while the outcome for Emily was fatal, her intervention worked. It was entirely successful.
She did what she set out to do in that split second.
Yes. While her 5-year-old son did sustain 2 severe dog bites, he survived the attack. Because his mother physically absorbed the brunt of the violence, he was able to be rushed to a nearby hospital, he received the necessary medical treatment, and authorities confirmed that the child was released to recover.
He was released, he gets to go home, he gets to grow up and live his life entirely because his mother made the instantaneous decision that his life was more important than her own.
That is the profound truth of the situation.
She literally bought his future with her present. So what does this all mean? When the ambulances leave the scene and the permanence of the situation sets in, how do authorities even begin to handle the immediate aftermath?
The initial response from the authorities always involves securing the scene and ensuring public safety. In this case, that meant dealing with the animals involved.
The 3 adult dogs.
Correct. Animal control officials from the Colorado River Indian tribes stepped in and euthanized all 3 of the adult dogs that participated in the attack.
And what about the puppies?
As for the puppies in the cardboard box near the front door, the innocent reason for the visit in the first place, they were completely unharmed.
Just a surreal detail.
It is. But as the physical scene is cleared, the investigative phase begins. And this raises an important question regarding the details that are still missing from the public narrative.
Right. There are several glaring unknowns that officials have not yet disclosed. We don't know the breeds of these adult dogs.
We don't.
We have no information on their prior behavior, whether there was any history of aggression, or if this was a completely unprecedented out-of-the-blue event. Furthermore, there are no details provided regarding the ownership of the dogs beyond the fact that they were present at Emily's mother's home.
And that lack of information is often one of the most difficult parts of a tragedy for the public to navigate.
Because we want answers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When an event is this shocking, human nature seeks a concrete explanation. We want a clear chain of custody or a history of behavioral red flags that we can point to.
To make it make sense.
Yes, it gives us a false sense of control, a belief that if we just have all the variables, we can make sense of the senseless. But right now, law enforcement is keeping those details close to the chest. We do know that the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department's Coroner Division has officially taken over the investigation into the deadly attack.
So it's very much an active process.
Exactly. So the process of gathering those missing details is still ongoing.
While the investigation continues to look into the mechanics of her death, we really need to shift our focus to the reality of her life.
I agree completely.
Because Emily Panuco was so much more than the circumstances of her final moments. When you look at who she left behind, the scope of this loss widens immensely. She is survived by her husband, Richie.
Right.
She leaves behind the 5-year-old son whose life she just saved, and she also leaves behind a 7-month-old baby.
That detail about the 7-month-old baby adds such a heavy layer to the reality this family is facing.
It's hard to even fathom.
You have a family unit that was just beginning to expand. This is a young couple building their lives, raising an infant and a kindergartner. The sudden, violent removal of a mother from that equation is a generational trauma.
It changes the trajectory of their entire family tree.
It does. The ripples of this event will be felt in that household for decades to come. Every milestone, every birthday, her absence will be a physical presence in that home. But just as the family will feel her absence, they will also be guided by the legacy of who she was as a person. And that legacy is incredibly poignant when you look at how she spent her days.
Her career really struck me because it reveals this beautiful, though heartbreaking, parallel to how she died. Emily dedicated her life to children.
Yes, she did.
She worked as an early literacy coordinator at the Colorado River Indian Tribes Library. The article notes that in this role, she touched the lives of many children and families. She wasn't just raising her own 2 kids. Her chosen profession was to nurture the minds and futures of a youth in her entire community.
It is a remarkable symmetry. An early literacy coordinator isn't just someone who checks out books.
No, they're deeply involved.
They are foundational figures in a community. They design reading programs, they build community spaces, and they teach young kids how to interpret and understand the world around them. They are quite literally laying the groundwork for a child's educational future.
It's such noble work.
It truly is. So you have a woman whose daily professional goal was to guide and protect the potential of children, ultimately making the supreme physical sacrifice to protect the potential of her own child.
A protector in every sense of the word.
Her loss isn't just felt at a single address on Wingfoot Court. It is a massive void for the entire local educational and cultural ecosystem.
And you can see the sheer scale of her impact clearly in the immediate community response. When a community loses someone like this, someone who gave so much of herself both in life and in death, the need to support the surviving family becomes overwhelming.
People need a way to help.
It's exactly. Richie's cousin, Brianna Huber, stepped up immediately to launch a GoFundMe fundraiser. The goal was to help cover the immediate funeral expenses and provide some level of financial support for a husband who went from raising a family with his wife to suddenly being a single father to a 5-year-old and a 7-month-old overnight.
The way the community rallied around this fundraiser is a massive testament to Emily's presence in their lives.
It moved so fast.
It did. By Tuesday night, just days after the Friday afternoon tragedy, the campaign had already shattered its $18,000 goal.
Which speaks volumes.
Absolutely. Financial support in these situations is often a proxy for the emotional support a community desperately wants to offer but doesn't quite know how to physically express.
You feel helpless, so you donate.
Exactly. People in the communities of Parker and Big River are reeling. They are hailing her courage, but they are also opening their wallets because they recognize the tremendous, daunting road ahead for Richie and those 2 young children.
The words used on that GoFundMe page really capture the essence of who Emily was to the people who knew her best. Brianna Huber wrote, "Her love for her family was unwavering, and her absence leaves a tremendous void in our hearts."
Unwavering is the perfect word.
She went on to explain that the shock and pain of the event have left the family reeling, and they are in desperate need of support from their community. It is a stark reminder that while we can marvel at her heroism from a distance, there is a very real family waking up every day now having to navigate that void.
That phrase, unwavering love, perfectly encapsulates the entire narrative. From her daily work at the library, fostering a love of reading in local children, to the final split-second decision to physically shield her son from a lethal threat.
It's all connected.
The consistency of her character is undeniable. It's a collective recognition of an ordinary woman who did an extraordinarily brave thing.
As we bring this deep dive to a close, we want to address you directly and summarize the incredible dual legacy of Emily Panuco.
A legacy that will absolutely endure.
Yes. On one hand, you have a woman who dedicated her professional life to nurturing children's minds, building a foundation of literacy and curiosity for countless kids at the library. And on the other hand, you have a mother who dedicated her physical life to saving her own child's future.
A complete sacrifice.
Her sacrifice ensured that her 5-year-old son survived an unsurvivable situation. She was a hero in the quiet, daily moments of her career, and she was a hero in the loudest, most terrifying moment of her life.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, I want to leave you with a final, lingering thought that builds upon the facts of this story.
Please do.
While we have the tragic timeline and the terrible physical outcome, consider the profound psychological legacy that is left behind.
The legacy left for the survivors.
Yes. In a fraction of a second, human instinct can entirely bypass all logic and self-preservation. When a community and a young family face the darkest, most traumatic day of their lives, how do they eventually reconcile that immense, sudden trauma with the most radiant, undeniable example of pure, selfless love?
It's a paradox.
It is. It forces every single one of us to ask what we are truly capable of when the people we love the most are in danger.
That is exactly the question this story leaves us grappling with. Thank you so much for taking this emotional and profoundly important deep dive with us today. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.
Okay, one question for you. What safety precautions should pet owners take when adult dogs are around young children, especially in situations involving puppies that may trigger protective or aggressive behavior? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.